We are back with Isaac Sturgill with Legal Aid of North Carolina and Haley Pfeiffer Haynes from the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency. We're here to answer questions about the HOPE grant and evictions and what you can do next. All right, this person texted, lost my apartment, now living in a hotel. Can I be evicted from a hotel?
So there are ways to be evicted from a hotel. One important thing to know under North Carolina law is that if you're living in the hotel as your primary residence, a court could consider you a tenant and not just a guest at the hotel. And in those cases, the hotel should have to go through the formal eviction court process in order to evict you. And that's another thing. We've been helping, Legal Aid has helped a ton of hotel tenants, people living in hotels as tenants throughout the pandemic. And if someone's facing eviction in the hotel, they can call Legal Aid and we may be able to assist them with that case.
Okay. This person says, I can't get anyone to answer the 211 phone number. I have information that I need to submit as well. And I'm sure that 211 line is ringing often.
Yes, it is. There are a lot of people trying to reach out. And if they have been contacted by someone from a community partner or from the in-course staff, when you speak to them, get their email address and phone number. They should be providing that to the folks that they're contacting, but they are reaching out proactively and they will get to you.
All right, without a lease, can owners evict renters due to a lack of pay with a verbal agreement?
I'm sorry, my connection went back for a second. Did you ask about the question if a landlord can evict a tenant without a written lease?
Yes, due to a lack of pay with a verbal agreement.
Yes, a landlord can do that, but in North Carolina, a landlord in that situation, if it's a verbal agreement and they want to evict for non-payment, there's certain things that the landlord has to do. And one of those things is the landlord has to make a demand for the rent that's due and then wait 10 days before filing the case. And if the tenant is able to pay the rent at any time to the landlord and the court costs before the judgment is reached, then the case is supposed to stop. So tenants in a verbal lease can be evicted for non-payment, but they have some extra protections there.
All right, this person is a landlord. They say, I have a tenant that says that they've been accepted for the HOPE program, but has not heard anything else. I was told I would receive an agreement to sign, but I haven't received anything. They applied in the first week of November. What should I be doing as a landlord?
So they're going to get that agreement. They can go on to the 211 website and look at the FAQs or the fact sheet for landlords to understand what the requirements are for receiving the HOPE funding, because there are some requirements on landlords in order to promote housing stability. But they should it would be wonderful to have email addresses for all landlords. So if they haven't provided that to their tenant yet, they should provide that to their tenant so the tenant can get that added to their application, and it makes communication with the landlord that much easier.
Okay. Isaac, this person says, does the CDC moratorium affect mortgage foreclosures or only for renters?
It's only for renters, and that is another issue. Mortgage foreclosures, we're seeing a lot of those being filed right now, so that we do realize that is an issue, but the CDC moratorium does not cover mortgage foreclosures.
Mm-hmm. We've had two texts about this, that they found out their apartment complex may not sign the HOPE grant. What happens, and is there other help out there?
So if a landlord won't accept the HOPE grant dollars, then they should go to the 211 website to see what other local programs might be available to them. There are a number of municipalities and counties that are running their own rent and utility assistance programs, and those are listed on the 211 website for people to look and see if there is one locally for them.
I'd also like to add to that under Governor Cooper's executive order 171 that he passed back in October, part of Governor Cooper's order says that if you've been notified that you've been approved for the HOPE program, then that's also a defense you can raise in court if your landlord tries to evict you for non-payment before the end of the year. So if a tenant is being evicted for non-payment of rent, if they've been notified that they've been approved for the HOPE program, and there should be like a letter that's being sent out to them, they can take that letter to court if the landlord tries to evict them for non-payment, and that should be a defense that they can raise in court.
So there's several landlords on here saying, isn't there any help for us because we're not getting our payments?
Yeah. And,
well,
You can go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I would say is if you participate in the HOPE program, then you are going to get help. The payments are flowing directly to landlords, and it pays up to 6 months of rent that a tenant hasn't been able to pay them.
Isaac, what do you want to follow up with?
I just wanted to, we've been hearing that too, and we are sensitive to that. And we know that a lot of landlords are struggling. And let's be honest, the HOPE program is great, and that's the perfect model. And we hope that landlords are willing to be patient and wait for that money so that they can be made whole and then everybody's happy.
This person's saying, since COVID-19 cases are on the rise again, any idea if the governor will extend that eviction moratorium?
I'm not sure. I think that I did talk to the governor's or emailed with the governor's office recently, and I think that it's definitely a serious issue. The evictions that we think are going to come in January, we think there's going to be a big spike of evictions in January if there aren't additional protections that are extended or additional money that becomes available. And so we know that the governor is thinking about these issues, but I don't have any definite word on whether or not he's planning on taking any action at this point.
Yeah,
any further action, let me say. I mean, he has taken a lot of action already to address these issues, but I don't know if he's planning any further action right now.
Right. We're also waiting, of course, on the national front as well to see if there will be something there as well. Okay. In the meantime, this is what we want you to be able to do. If you go to the Two Wants to Know section right now, we have an article up that talks about the eviction deadline coming up, and it gives you a direct link to Legal Aid of North Carolina. So you can just click on that and you're able to go to their website. You can call them. Again, that is free legal aid, and that is through Legal Aid of North Carolina. There's also a tab for 211 so that you would be able to get in touch with them if you have part of the HOPE program grant. And there is also an entire list of extra helps that are out there right now for renters. We want you to make sure that you have those resources and that you're able to find them easily. And again, they're in the Two Wants to Know section. Thank you very much for joining us today. We so appreciate it.